Yup, you read correctly. In this video, we're going to be talking about the Midland walkie-talkies. These are specifically the LXT version, and they have a 30-mile range. We're going to get more into that in just a second, but let's move on. Alright, so overall, I really do like these walkie-talkies. They have shown to be very durable, and just have a lot of good qualities, which I will get into in just a second. They have a few things that I am not so pleased about, so you're gonna want to watch to the end to find those out before you go and purchase them and make a huge mistake, because these might not be for you. Now, we're starting with the basics. What actually comes in the box? So in the box, you're going to get the cord, you're going to get 2 walkie-talkies themselves, the 2 clips, and the 2 battery packs that are rechargeable, and the charger. So these are what you're going to get in the box, and these are all you're going to need to just use the walkie-talkies, basically. And you ready for the next part? It's a pretty important one. And that is the price. I'm pretty sure these retail for around $60-ish. Don't quote me on Amazon. And they are mid-range walkie-talkies. In fact, they're actually mid to high-range ones. I will be doing a video in the future, I'm pretty sure, about some Motorola walkie-talkies that are actually lower-range ones, and you'll be seeing, so subscribe for that. But these are at a decent price. And for that price, I do feel like you're getting a lot of value, because you're getting a pretty good setup, and just straight out of the box, you're getting something that you can fully use and be able to enjoy. So for that, I think it's worth the price, and you get what you pay for. Though it is a higher amount of money, you're gonna get high quality walkie-talkies. You'll see more. Now, before I go further, I should address the buttons. There is a push-to-talk button on the side. It has the twist-on cap. There is a menu button. There's a weather scan button. There is a scan the other channels and frequency button, and a whole list of other ones. I won't get too far into it, but there are a few different buttons that are going to take getting used to, and there is a manual, so don't fear. Now we're going to get into like 30 miles. It's not really 30 miles. In fact, in the manual, as you will see in a second, it's not really 30 miles. But the general idea is that these are 30-mile walkie-talkies, which are going to be marketing more expensive than 10-mile walkie-talkies and less expensive than 40-mile walkie-talkies. But yeah, so these get you a seriously long range and a short range in cities. So that's not really 30 miles, but in the city, it's a whole lot less. In the city, it's barely a block. I've tested it many times, because I'm like, oh, it's 30 miles? It says it's 30 miles, quote-unquote, and yet in the city, I don't even think it'll get you 1 mile, which is what they say it should in the city, because it's all the blocking, and it blocks the frequencies, and the waves bounce. So don't expect even close to that, not even half or a third or a fourth in the city, not at all. In fact, here from Midland themselves, they say extreme range communication in open areas with literally no obstruction up to 30 miles, but that's with no sight obstruction. Then the ideal is 3 to 10 miles, and then obstructed, they say in major obstructions to line of sight, I'm assuming they mean like city, 1 to 3 miles, you don't even get 1 mile. You barely get like 500 yards from one end of a building to another. It's quite pathetic in a city, but outside, it's fantastic and it's clear too. Now, if you've been doing a lot of research on walkie-talkies, and that's how you came to this review, you probably already know this. But these walkie-talkies can use more than 2, like you can pair them with like 4 or 6, or ones that aren't Midland. And the reason I say this is because a lot of like toy walkie-talkies cannot use anything but the 2 that it came with. But because these work on standard frequencies, you can have like a Midland walkie-talkie and then use it with a Motorola walkie-talkie. They're very mix and match and combinable. Next, you want to do a drum roll, bum, 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 bum. That's my drum roll. You get to the charger. Now, this is one of the flaws I actually did see with this walkie-talkie, is that its charger is spotty. First of all, I noticed that with battery packs, sometimes it just doesn't charge all the way up, and then you get out, and as soon as you press the push-to-talk button, it'll show dead when you've left it charging for hours. That is bad. Yes, and I get into that. Battery problems. Those are pretty darn big battery problems. When you get out there expecting to have walkie-talkies that are working for your hike or your bike ride or your canoe or kayak ride, and they show to be dead. It can be very aggravating and really not ideal at all for that. So that's one of my warnings. Another thing I really like about this walkie-talkie is the NOAA weather alerts. Now, when we're out in like a big body of water, whether that be like a river, coast, lake, a lot of times, depending on the size of the lake, we will get weather alerts on like the waves and stuff in addition to the weather. But when we're like inland, we get the weather alerts on normal weather, and it can be really helpful to know what your upcoming days of weather are, especially if you're hiking. Next is a pretty darn big one, and it might seem like range is way more important, but in reality, you're hardly ever going to be testing its 30-mile range, and this will be used a lot. Nothing is more aggravating than going out, having your charged walkie-talkie, now that's if it's not having battery problems, having good range, and yet having your channel be used. Now, for a walkie-talkie with 36 channels, you get to switch to another channel or other stuff, which I will explain in a second. Before I get to that explanation, I should probably add that these are headphone capable, meaning that they can use headphones, or they are headphone capable. That means you just plug them into a little plug on the side, and suddenly you are listening with your headphones and are using them without having to broadcast your message to the world. Privacy. And speaking of privacy, we have 121 privacy codes. That is also good for if you have, for example, all 36 channels being used, or you just want a channel privacy code that is just private. I guess it wouldn't even take having all 36 channels, because that'd be pretty hard to do. But you can have specific privacy codes that you are using, and this has 121. Now, 121 is a lot. The next thing is that I like is the rechargeable batteries. Now, as you might remember me talking about, because I ranted about it for like a full minute, is the rechargeable battery problems. Therefore, if you do end up having severe amount of problems, rather than the walkie-talkie just being useless, you can just replace it with actual batteries and not use the rechargeables, which I find to be an extremely helpful feature. Another thing this walkie-talkie has is high and low power mode. Now this is helpful because you don't have to go through the battery that you do have faster than you need to, especially if you're relatively close to that person or it's not an extremely important event or something. Also, I think there are regulations on using high power. Don't quote me. Put down in the comment section below if you know better. These also have clips. Now, looking at this now, I'm not really sure why I decided to add this, because I already mentioned they have clips, but they do have clips, so that's something you should know, because you can clip them onto things, and they say Midland on the back. So if you really like the lettering on the word Midland on the walkie-talkie, and you like it on your clips, then I suggest this is the walkie-talkie for you, really. Far cooler than clips is the Vox feature, which is hands-free mode. That means that instead of, like, if you're, like, rock climbing, I don't know why you would rock climb with a walkie-talkie. I'm wrong. I do know why you would rock climb with a walkie-talkie. It's a good idea. But if you're rock climbing and have your hands hanging into a mountain for dear life, you don't have to take one hand off to radio to your friend because it automatically transmits. Are you learning a ton about this walkie-talkie in this video? If you aren't, I'm doing a bad job. If you are, please subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. I'm really hoping you enjoy this, but don't leave because I'm not done. There are still more features that I want to get to with this, so watch till the end. It has a scan feature. Now you're probably like, Handax and Satchel, this has a lot of features. Now I know, because it has a lot of features, and it's taking a while to get to all of them, but I can assure you the walkie-talkie is great, and it does have this many features. So yes, the scan feature, it scans all the other channels to see if there's activity. All in all, this is a great mid-tier radio. It is solid. It is relatively just like normal, and it's a great mid-tier radio that'll get you far, and I don't think you're going to be disappointed. So if you have that one battery problem, that's really the only con. Other than that, go buy this radio because it is awesome. now this is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching a Hand Axe Nostalgia video. Have a great day, and Hand Axe Nostalgia.